right, fellas.
What's up?
What's up?
What's
Yo!
happening, guys? What's partying? What's popping?
What's new with you guys this week?
Oh, I have a new one. It's called vidego.ai.
That sounds
Basically, it
familiar.
uses AI to generate video. It's
Oh,
text to
yeah, I have
video,
seen this.
and it's
Sweet.
incredible. It's
Yeah?
really cool, but also kind of funky too. Like there's some really bad ones that I've made.
Okay. So are those the ones you're going to share with us? The really crappy ones? Or
They're just
Because that's the only ones we're interested
Yeah.
in right now.
What can we talk trash about? Because we're in.
wish
Down.
I'll share it with you guys after this. I'll send you a
Okay.
link.
Yemi, you got any cool or fun things happening recently?
Oh, let's see. My oldest son turned 24
Oh, good.
yesterday, and
Good.
my second born son graduated the Air Force basic training, however it is.
Let's go.
Yeah,
That's
Very
cool.
nice.
very cool.
Very nice. Well, I came into the office this morning, and my buddy Fausto's like, Aram, there's a package over there on the table with your name on it. So I picked it up, and my friend Steve Tamalargio sent me a Black Citizen EcoDrive watch. So he's got this watch club he told me about. He's like, hey, I just want to send you one, just for fun. Just let me know what you think. So he just gifted me this watch. So I unpacked that today, right before we jumped on this recording, which is pretty cool. And it's actually really neat because this is a very understated, like, simple watch.
Yeah.
And I have a brown one I wear for a lot of brown stuff. But if I'm wearing like dark navy or black, I don't have one that matches. So I was like, oh, the next watch I should get should be a black one. I didn't say any of this to Steve. He just like picked a watch, and the one he sent me is like right on cue. So I was like, wow, okay. So shout out to Steve. Thanks for that. And yeah, that was a really nice surprise today.
Shout out, Steve.
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo!
So what are we talking about today? Why am I here?
Well, we're actually going
Why
to
are
talk
we here?
about why all three of us are here, really.
Woohoo! It's true. It's true.
Hey,
Power of networking.
my favorite topic.
Eric's favorite topic, making connections
His favorite.
matter.
We should real quick as we like start on this topic, talk about how we all know each other because, like Yemi said, we're all here because of this, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So cool. I can jump in. So I met Aram actually because when he was, I think, in like your first or second year of having your Lexington going, you were as entrepreneurs do, like anything to bring in funds. So you were driving Lyft, and you picked up my wife and daughter, and brought them to our complex. And those of you who know me know I have a rule where my wife doesn't carry groceries. It's one of those things. She doesn't carry groceries. She doesn't take out trash. So I went downstairs to get the groceries, and my wife was like, "Oh my gosh, babe, you got to meet Aram. He owns he's an entrepreneur too. You guys should be friends." Blah blah blah. So I'm like, "All right, cool." And so Aram was like, "All right, man, let's gave me your business card, called you up. We met up for coffee at Coffee Times actually." And then you had us over to the house for some game nights, and that's where I met Eric.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good old game nights.
Yep.
We
Game
just started
nights.
that back up last Sunday, by the way.
Oh.
We haven't had it since like that years ago when you met us at game night or met Eric at game night. We stopped doing it because we just time and stuff happened. And we just started back up this last Sunday. So we're going to try to do it about every other week. So
Cool.
yeah, get some more connections there.
Good times.
Yeah, it was fun because like even in the car ride, Crystal was telling me all the stuff about you. She's like, "Oh yeah, Yemi's an entrepreneur. He does this, that." I'm like, I can't wait for you to meet him. And I didn't realize until we got close. She's like, "Oh yeah, he's going to come down and help with the groceries, so you'll get a chance to meet him." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." I was like, "Awesome." So yeah, that was a great just connection right off of the rip. But it came about because both you and Crystal are like, that's how you're minded. It's not like, oh, okay, like I'm going to go do my thing. You're looking for new connections. So that was a very, very natural connection there for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very glad for that.
Me too.
And I met Eric I love
Yeah.
this
I love the
story because
story too.
we've told on a few podcasts. I think at this point, haven't we? This is kind of well recorded. We need to like throw in some extra weird detail just to keep it interesting for people. Just like make something up. I don't know if I was coming into the church bathroom and I think Eric was on his way out, and it was like sort of we were like crossing ways, and I was like, oh, I don't know who this guy is. I'm like, hey, have we met before? And we started chatting, and I think Eric was trying to like get out of the restroom and get outside and like go home as quickly as
Yeah.
possible. And it's
I
just
was.
like,
I'm an in and
like
out.
I said, hey, and he's like, oh wait, what? Got him.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. I mean, it's kind of cool because like we're all on a podcast now together, just because we met and had
True.
coffee and ended up getting along. So
I wasn't searching
yeah,
for any connections, so
yeah, you just got roped into it.
yeah.
Got him.
Well, what's interesting is we woke up and Sarah Jane wanted to go to church, and so I prayed, asked the Lord if we should go, and He said, "Yeah, you should go." So I'm like, "Okay, well, and what's the closest church that I don't have to drive very far to?" That's the closest one, and that's how we ended up walking down there, doing
There
it.
it is. That's so crazy. It's funny because like one of the first things we were going to talk about as we explore the subject was how do you differentiate genuine connections from surface level, like just interactions or introductions. So that's interesting, right? Like what do you guys think on that? Because obviously, I think the three of us have a pretty solid connection over various things that we've worked on in a couple different businesses, different projects. So like we've kind of done all sorts of different things. So what I mean, between the time that I met both of you guys and now, I've met dozens, maybe hundreds of other people that I don't really keep up with. Maybe like they're acquaintances, or maybe I never heard from them again. So they were like just the same way. I met them like I met you guys, but obviously those connections weren't as meaningful or weren't as lasting for whatever reason. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? And how does that look for you?
For me, there's connections where you've invested in that person so much, like deposited things into their life or helped them, and then there's the more genuine connection where you genuinely both like being around each other, and maybe you have the same interests, and so you just naturally keep up. And then you have the people that you need something from, or you want to keep close, and so you go out of your way, but you really don't have anything to talk about. Like if you were to sit down, you would always talk about the same stuff, like business stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas with us, we can talk about all sorts of different things. It's not always about clean space. We can talk about all sorts of stuff. And I like that.
For sure.
As far as like that's for me, kind of separates. Another thing too is friendship. For me, my definition is such a high level than what Sarah Jane would consider friends. And suits or non-acquaintance. If you're my friend, then you're someone. Then we jive with, we get along with each other, and it's natural. If you're not my friend, then it's like, okay, you're a cool person.
So what you're saying is, Yemi and I, we made the special selection.
You did.
Yep.
Congratulations.
All right. Going to pat ourselves on the back for that one real quick. That's great.
And then I guess, and I guess I do have one more category, because I don't like the word acquaintance. That's just a weird word, and I don't like it. I think like take some of the people, some of the restaurants I go to around here, or Whole Foods, for example. I know so many people in Whole Foods, but I have invested in them, so I know
sure.
that the niceness or whatever that I'm getting is just them returning in kind what I've given them.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And so it can be confused with friendship, but it's not necessarily friendship. They're not inviting me over to their house or do anything. It's just a return of kindness.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So, which is nice. It's nice to be around kind people who, will chit chat and talk to you.
Yep. Yemi, what do you think are some effective strategies for making a lasting impression whenever you meet new people, right? So if you're meeting someone that you like, hey, this is someone I'd really like to establish a serious connection with and maybe, get to know better. What are some strategies for making a good impression there to kind of help with that down the road?
I think it's a matter of, I mean, I don't want to sound like a cliche, but it's just being authentic, being who you are. Because when you meet people, at first you meet their representative, you
Hmm.
know, and by that it's like I'm putting my best foot forward. I want you to that kind of thing, but does it last? Is it really that person? And so I think it's just getting
Yeah.
beyond the
It's good.
surface stuff and having authentic conversations. And there's a level of vulnerability that comes along with authentic connection and everything, and then
Hmm.
developing those friendships. Um, I I'd say it's just these things you can try to force them, but they just happen. They happen so organically. Like you couldn't have the way that the three of us met. Just could had to have been part of a divine comedy. Just when you think
Hmm.
about it, like what are the odds that this would
Shout out
happen?
to Dante
Yeah,
Alighieri.
what are the odds that this would happen? You would meet this guy in the church bathroom, this guy's wife, who you have. I mean, how many people have you driven for Lyft? How many people have you run into in the
Yeah.
bathroom at church? Like, vice versa. How
Yeah.
many times have I carried groceries up for my wife? Like, it's just,
Yeah.
but these things just happen. It just, when you're interested in people just in general, rather than what can I get from you? What can you do for me? We just,
Hmm.
I'm interested in this human being because, depending on your belief, they were created in the image of God. This is someone who, is the apex of creation. How do we, like, I'm just interested in this person and being able to convey
Yeah.
that, being able to express that. People can read how genuine you are, and when it's
Yeah.
genuine, it's just easy. It's easier to deal with because it's like, okay, well, this person's not surface. This person is real, and this is who I want to be around. And obviously, I
Hmm.
mean, Aram, you and I've been to the networking events where it's like you meet someone and you're talking to them and they're looking around. They're looking around. Okay, well,
Yeah.
who can I chat with? Okay, great, nice to meet you. Bye.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I call that the politician,
yes,
where like they're talking to you and they're looking past you the whole time as well. They're like, okay, who's it's just like they're saying all the right things. It's great. And they kind of make eye contact, but they're also kind of like over here. It's like, oh, yep, gotta go there, gotta go there. Yeah, you just notice it. To kind of piggyback on that, Yemi, one of my favorite books, one of the best things I read in 2023 actually was called Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. And I have recommended that to everybody that is either starting out in business or especially if they're younger, they're trying to figure things out and they're going to all the same, networking events that we go to. Because what Ferrazzi talks about in his book is you've got to get beyond just this whole idea of like passing out as many business cards as possible, right? You don't want to go pass
Yeah.
out, 40 business cards, get 35, and then just spam everybody. Like that's what a lot of people do. But what he lays out in that book is building connections to make them where people feel like because they're connected to you that you're there to help them in some way and that your mindset is what can I do, what kind of introductions could I make for this person that I've met that would be beneficial to them without ever expecting something on the back end.
mm-hmm.
And I don't think most people think that. Most people are like, well, how is this connection going to benefit me in some way? And if you can think, well, how can I provide some sort of value to the people that I'm meeting and just let that be what it is, that usually comes back in a big way. And that helped me tremendously when I was going out talking to people to just operate from that mindset, which was like, look, I like to meet people anyway. So it's not a burden for me to go out and talk to people. I'm not like, oh, this is a pain in the butt. Like I'm naturally extroverted. So we're okay. So by using that, my thought process now is how could I help somebody further along if they say they're in this industry and I know somebody who's done really well there. Well, it's not hard for me to loop them into a group thread, text message, and be like, hey, meet so and so, and just let that be that.
Mm-hmm.
And what it tells the person that I've just met is I didn't need something from you to make that connection. I was just doing that because people have done that for me, and this is an easy way for me to pay it forward. So highly recommend Never Eat Alone. If you haven't read it before, you need to pick that up because it will really, really help you from a mindset perspective there.
Another thing too, as far as how to get into practicing how to network, I think another great thing you could do is go to a bar. And
Yep.
anyone who's not on their phone, that's somebody who wants to talk to somebody. That's the biggest thing that
It's
I've
good.
realized. I've actually been doing it this past about 3 weeks now, and it's always the same group of people at the Whole Foods bar, and they're all different walks. Some of them actually have money, and that's a whole other thing. You could go to a fancy hotel, sit at the bar. Most likely, there'll be people there that are very interesting, businessy people that have some sort of possibly other connections to help you if
Yeah.
you want to. But it's in a setting where uh, it's in a natural setting of just, yeah, we're just chit chatting, having a drink.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're not trying to get anything from me, and I'm not trying to get anything from you.
Yeah.
It's a great strategy, actually.
That is good. I think tips like that, we may be a little bit more used to meeting people and we've done this a lot, but I think it's helpful for people that are listening to this and maybe they're really introverted, right? And they understand the
Yeah.
value of networking.
Well, I'm
but you
very
have to.
introverted.
You are, yeah, you are, but
So going out on a
you've
limb with the
developed,
bar idea is, yeah.
yeah,
Over the course of this year, I've developed a lot. I've developed a better approach,
yeah,
and it doesn't give me as much anxiety. But I do not like the networking events. I don't like them because it feels, most of the time for me, it always feels like everyone's trying to get something from me, and most people are trying to sell me their insurance or trying to get their. And the bar scene has been great. It's been so
yeah,
much easier, way less anxiety,
yeah.
and it's just chill. And
It's
the
not an event
bartender is
that's
also there.
dedicated.
The
Yeah,
bartender is also there to help trying to manage and get the conversations along,
yeah, that makes
like the
sense.
wing guy. So, yeah, it's been
That
great.
makes sense.
Because the longer you stay, the more you drink, and the more you drink, the more you tip. So,
Yeah, sure.
What it is.
Mhm.
What it is. What are some phrases that you guys have used either like in the past or using now, Eric, with you kind of getting into this and utilizing that
The
kind of laid
worst
back
phrase, I'll
atmosphere?
give you the worst one. Don't use this.
Okay.
What do you do?
Oh yeah. Yep,
That
that is
is
the
the
worst.
worst. I hate being asked that question. And it's just, instead of saying, what do you do? Say something like, if you notice they're watching the game or a game,
Mm.
look at them and be like, what team are you going for?
Yeah.
Or if you're watching golf or something, wow, that guy has a really great swing. Did you see that?
Yep.
Um, Try to look for something that's unique about the person. Notice something unique about that. Open with that instead.
Yep.
And you'll instantly bypass the whole, what do you do? Oh, this guy, all those typical questions. It's like going on a date and asking the girl, hey, what's your favorite color?
Yeah.
You know?
What are we in fourth grade?
That's
Well, no,
my advice.
I totally agree with that. What do you do is just the most overused blah. Like I don't have something to say, so I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
It's funny. I took my son Vaughn. He's 9, but he was 8 when I took him to one of these like actually early morning networking events, and he doesn't obviously work regularly anywhere, so he doesn't have that like what do you do for work mentality because he's not in that scene. So we're driving and I'm like, hey Vaughn, if you're going around talking to people, just I knew he wasn't going to ask people what they do because that's not a question he would think of. So I'm like, well, just
Uh-huh.
ask people something that would make them interested to talk to you, right? Ask about themselves, ask them, questions that they can expound on and tell you about their life. And so he ended up talking for a good while to all of our mutual friends, Tim Brown. And Tim came up to me later and he's like, so Vaughn came up to me, asked his name, and one of the first questions he asked me was, Tim, what makes you excited to get up in the morning? And Tim's like, I stopped and I was like, oh, let me think about that for a bit. And they ended up talking like the whole time I was there talking. He and Tim just had this huge conversation. He loves Tim now, and they've done like we've met at the pickleball court stuff together. They're like good friends. So it was just cool because as an 8-year-old kid, he didn't have all the baggage that we do when we've done this a few times and we're just kind of like going through the motions. And so I was like, that's a great question. So do you need a good question? What makes you excited to get up in the morning is a good one for sure.
Courtesy of an 8-year-old. I love it. Oh, I love it.
There you go.
Yeah, that's definitely your son, bro.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's your like go-to?
When people ask me how I'm doing, I mean, I respond with outstanding and improving, and that instantly just creates if they're not doing great, they'll ask about improving. What is that? It's just a lead in.
Sure.
If they're excited about, I've never heard that before. Oh, well, I've started saying it, and it's true. Like, I'm outstanding, and things are just getting better. Like, every second I'm getting better. And people,
that's great.
People just like
that is a lot better than fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you don't like the question and you still want to be like, I am terrible. That'll also like, wait, what?
The other day, I asked someone that. I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "It's miserable." I said, "Until you met me."
Oh, there it is. Your life just took a turn for the better. That's awesome. Can you guys share an example of how either through, it might be a networking event, it might just be a one-off connection, but some way that you developed a meaningful connection that has really meant something to you either in your life or your business in some way in the past, currently? Obviously, we've all talked about how our connections have got us here to this podcast, and we've worked together. Maybe outside of that, is there something that really stands out? It's like, oh yeah, this event was really impactful and meant something. So for me, I'll answer this real quick. To this day, I'm sitting in the office that we rent from Awesome Inc. I found out about Awesome Inc. because of our good friend Edward with Chase Bank, who reached out to me over LinkedIn. We started a conversation. He invited me to coffee. We had a great time. This is several years ago now, I think three-ish years ago. And he asked if I had ever been to Fibercross, which is a pitch competition. It was coming up next month. Chase was one of the sponsors, and I didn't know Edward before that coffee meeting, but his invitation to that got me connected with Awesome Inc. And we've kind of come full loop, and we even talked a little bit about this with our interview with Brian Rainey. And that was a very meaningful connection that wouldn't have happened except that Edward just reached out to me sort of out of the blue, built that connection, and because of that, it led to literally dozens, and at some point will be hundreds of very meaningful connections in my life, in businesses, because of that. So it was a huge deal for me, and it just that was one of the clearest examples of how impactful networking has been, definitely in my life in a big way. So shout out to Edward.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
I didn't think of it as networking, more just like I'm there making a friend, and maybe it was just from the days of reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, and just all those different books to make yourself just more attractive in meeting people, sales, that kind of thing. That's important. But I've always just been interested in people because people are just, they fascinate me. Like when I went to college, I went into psychology because I wanted to study people. And initially I wanted to try to figure out women, but here we are. So, but I've just always been interested in people. And so what I've discovered is that people love to talk about themselves. And it's just a matter of asking the right questions to get them, talking, and then they just love you. And it doesn't come from a place of, I want to ask these questions to get them interested. No, it's like, I'm really fascinated by this person. Like, this person's cool. Like for example, like one of the people that I just want to, I want to, next time in Lexington, I want to meet up with, have a cup of coffee with, Louis Kessinger. He just, he's, his background, his story, like what he does professionally, like it's one of those things that just fascinates me. And just having met him, and he's so like down to earth, just so cool when he has like, I've met other people with similar backgrounds that are just not at all pleasant to deal with. But Louis is like the opposite. He's just like, he's the cool guy,
Yep. He's the cool dude.
Yeah. So it's just
awesome.
Being interested, just genuinely interested in people. Like, people are the most fascinating thing to study. out there, because there really is no control group. Everyone is really one of one. Even identical twins are one of one.
Yeah.
So
it's true. It's good.
Yeah, you could. I was just thinking about it. And technically, you could make an argument that I wouldn't have met my wife if I hadn't been introduced to her through my dance choreographer. So I guess there's an argument there. So networking has been helpful to me. So
that's good.
I know you're really happy about that networking.
That's a pretty good one.
Pretty significant.
I might have to switch my stance now.
There it is.
Woo!
All right, so a couple of last closing questions here, and you guys could pick this up in whatever order you want. All right. So, what is the longest that you've kept nodding and smiling during a conversation that you didn't understand?
Probably the whole conversation. So that would be like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yikes.
But when I'm in a situation where that's where I'm doing that, where I've lost whatever we're talking about.
Yeah.
I try to look. I try to kind of glance around to see if there's a distraction that I can do to break the off.
Oh my gosh! Who's coming through the window?
Yeah, exactly. Or like make a face like that or something. Forces them to shut it off. Look where I'm looking at, and then I'm like, oh, I don't know. I thought I saw something.
It's like, why is that guy in a ski mask? That's awesome. Yemi, if you had to network dressed as a superhero, who would you dress as?
In their costume?
Yeah, like you had to dress as an identifiable superhero. But it was just you. Like, this is not like a costume party. It's just
me.
It's just Yemi.
Walking around in my... Man, I'm gonna go with Wolverine.
Okay.
The old school yellow suit, just bright and garish,
I like it.
Like it. Yeah, just out there.
Just, walk around, hey, nice to meet you, bub.
Yep. This is a great question. What's your dream networking snack? So if you've got to eat something, if you've got to hold some food while you're networking, what's kind of the best case scenario there? There's a couple of answers to this, so I'm curious how you guys...
I'd say little bites from a charcuterie board. Like maybe some smoked Gouda, something, a little fruit or something, some kind of, other cheese. Just because I can talk about, oh, have you had this smoked Gouda? Dude, it's amazing. Like, oh, my name's Yemi. What's your name? Like, what's your favorite cheese? Sure. And then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one.
That is good. And then if it gets bad, you can always just pile on a bunch of heavily scented onion, something, garlic. Mm-hmm. Just if you need to create some space.
I think maybe an apple would be really good. Because then you have some power moves there.
Like an uncut, you're just gnawing into it.
Nice
okay,
apple.
just just chop it.
Yeah,
I love it.
If they ask you a question, you just look at them, hold eye contact.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's awesome. Woo! That's great. Yeah. Good stuff. Well, this has been a fun one.
Yeah, nice.
I like this. This is some good combos here.
I mean,
and
that was good. I was going to also say, but it might not be appropriate. But if you're a woman, then you can use a banana.
Yeah, that's not appropriate. But I'm glad you shared it.
I loved how you guys just paused. What did he just say?
Oh, that's a good little blooper reel. Well, guys, that was fun. Thanks for hopping on again today, and look forward to our next one. Hope your week is blessed, and have a good weekend ahead.
All right, bro.
Cheers.